Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 23rd of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. Okay, yes, gone a little higher here. Still kind of looks like topping action, but no real sign that a turn is imminent, and we haven't quite reached some of my upside targets, and I'll go through those. NQ obviously made the sell signal target, is again trickling a bit higher. RTY, which hadn't gone higher, looks as though it's going to retest the high again today. That is one of the things I was expecting to happen. YM, we've had this nice looking bull flag forming for a while. That's now broken up. And I'm expecting to see a retest of this high. Two things I'd really like to see is I'd like to see Dia retest this high, and I would like to see Dow. Dia has made a new all-time high. Dow Industrial has not. So I'm leaning towards seeing that that made, and obviously the first step on that is retesting this high. DAX and STX, these are looking an awful lot like bull flags forming, or this could be a triangle or a descending triangle. This looks like a straight up bull flag wedge, but this hasn't broken up yet, but we've got 3 touches on the resistance trend line. I'm leaning towards these breaking up and retesting the highs too, particularly the one on DAX. Because we can set up a very nice daily sell signal there. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at the daily charts, obviously we've still got sell signals fixed. On all of these, the main support is the daily middle band. So you can see test there, almost test there. This is the clear and obvious support level. And that's the same on ES as well, although we've done a little more damage. I think at one stage, at this stage, we opened well below it and then recovered back above it for one day. Basically, it's held the whole time for this rally. So that is the key area I'm looking at. In terms of the short-term pattern, this still looks like a rising wedge that is topping out. Could be a head and shoulders forming, could go a bit higher. We're sort of seeing a trickle higher, which is something we sometimes see in the summer. But at the moment, the pattern setup's not really changing. 15-minute. No current divergence. We're obviously going to see a retest of this high yesterday at the open today. On Qs, we go again tricking a little higher. I think we might have lost this weak RSI 14 sell signal, but we're holding on the RSI 5 one. On the hourly chart, we've still got hourly RSI 14 sell signals fixed, and these haven't failed and they haven't made targets, just as we've been gently trickling higher. Again, this looks like a wedge which is breaking down. I do have a trend line here which I drew in here, and this trend line is the trend line I expect to see hit. At this point, I would think the wedge has expanded and I would redraw the support trend line, but at the moment we haven't got close to it. Looking at Dow, you can see we haven't quite reached the retest of the all-time high here. I'm leaning towards seeing that fairly strongly. So I'm encouraged to see that YM has broken up over this resistance trend line overnight. Again, this has been weaker. We've been testing the daily middle band a couple of times recently. But at the moment it's holding. They're all holding. So if we are going to see some real damage, we're going to start seeing those break. RSI 14 sell signal on this one reached the possible near miss target. Hasn't quite reached the main rising support here, even though it has been weaker. This is a sort of a broader wedge than the other two. So watching for that, but I quite like to see the retest the high directly from here. This should gap up this morning. We haven't got far to go. 448, 68 I'm expecting to see, and then I would like to see the retest of the all-time high on Dow Industrial. All right, let's have a look at IWM. IWM, we are holding above the daily middle band, which is pretty close to the rising support trend line at the moment. So watching that with interest. On the hourly chart, we had an RSI 5 sell signal fix. That's actually made target. We have seen a very slight break below this support trend line here. But really, I'm expecting, if we're going to form a topping pattern here, we need to retest this high here at 226.85. We may see that today. On the 15-minute chart, not a lot to add really to what we had before. I could draw in a trend line here, which would be if we break down and make up, but that would be up in about the 229 area. We're not close to that at the moment. DAX, I'm still expecting to see the retest of the high. it's come back and retested the daily middle band. And Nikkei, I think when I get the latest lot of data, apparently it went up 3.5% on the trade deal that the Japanese have done with the Americans. That is probably going to get me my retest of 40.9 and a possible daily RSI 14 sell signal break. So watching that with great interest. All right, DX. DX, we've seen the double top break down, and that's got a target pretty close to retest this low, in effect at a retest of this low. But I would say the Euro, where we've got a matching double bottom that has broken up, we've actually got a 60-minute sell signal fix. This could fail here, or it could just deliver the retracement that we often see after a breakup. Not a lot to see on the other currencies. Weak 6-minute sell signal fixed on GBP. On USD CAD, we've got a 60-minute buy signal, which is trying to fix at the moment. We had a double top breakdown there, and that's already made both targets. And are we going to see a retest this low here? I think we well might, yes. CAD has been under. CAD is going to reach that low retest a long way before DX, though. This has been weaker. Australian dollar, we had a double top breakdown, and that's rejected back up into the high. We'll see how it goes. Not an awful lot to see, really. It's okay. Let's have a look at bonds. ZB, we have this head and shoulders that's broken down, and I'm leaning towards this failing. It's not getting over the monthly pivot at the moment. It needs to get over the monthly pivot for the head and shoulders to fail. But the one we've got on ZN, that has already failed. This was the right shoulder high here, and we've gone above it. So we've almost made it to this little IHS target here. So if this can break over the monthly pivot and convert it, we'll make this target, and that would set up an obvious target at a retest of this high. We'll see how that goes. Okay, CL has finally reached the rising support. It's drawn in forever, and we've finally made it. Sell signal has made target. This could hold. Watching it with interest. If we break down, then I'll be leaning towards seeing a retest this low, and very possibly lower than that. HO, we've reached the 60-minute sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. It hasn't quite made it to the megaphone support, which is a nice megaphone. And overall, I'd expect this to break down and retrace at some point, and very possibly go back to the lows. We shall see. RBOB. Gasoline is on the way back down. If so, this double top has not invalidated because they don't invalidate for 202 target 2.025, and I'm leaning towards that making target. We do have a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed. NG, I've been talking about retest the low. We're very close to it now. We've got no current divergence if we close the hour down here, but I am expecting to see this low retest. This could be the second low of a double bottom, or it could just continue down. I don't really have a strong preference, but I'm leaning towards the short side there. In which case, I'll be redrawing this resistance trend line across here, and we will have a different pattern going forward and going down. GC, this is actually, we had a nice looking rising wedge here, and we actually broke over it with some conviction. I haven't got an obvious alternate trend line here, but I am thinking maybe this is the start of the move to retest the all-time high, which I've been expecting for a while since this flag broke up. It's been a while coming, but I think it is coming. SI, we've retested this high here, and this could be the second high of a double top, and we do have a possible 60-minute sell signal break. If this can break up and convert 40, the upside is open. So my trend line will be broken. Palladium. Nothing really obviously saying it's about to reverse. 60-minute sell signals reach the possible near miss target on platinum. 60-minute sell signal is reaching target at the moment. This is a nice looking little double top. If we can break below the weekly pivot, we could see a move down to about the 1390 area. On HG, we've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing here. I am wondering about a retest this high. It's getting close. Not expecting to see a huge amount higher, but at the moment I think people will be stocking up on copper in advance of the American tariff at 50% that's coming in at the end of the month, assuming that all the tariffs aren't ruled illegal before that. Looking at EURUSD, we've got this little, could this be an IHS? Arguably, but it's certainly a double bottom. This is broken up. This is leaning towards seeing a retest of the high, but as I said, we've got a 6-minute sell signal break. KC, KC, the sell signal made target. We've been seeing a bit of a rally. We don't necessarily need to go any lower than this, but this kind of looks like a bear flag, and I am still wondering about a retest this low here in the 275 area. On sugar, if this is an IHS right shoulder, we've now reached the ideal area for this to turn back up again. A weak 6-minute buy signal is fixed. We've got a 3-touch resistance trend line, and this is looking like a flag. So I'm leaning towards this breaking up and a move back to the IHS neckline in the 17 area. Looking at CC, CC, I'm watching this declining resistance, which I've now got in about the 83.75 area. If we can break over that, then that potentially opens the upside. CT, still leaning towards, because the head and shoulder failed, I'm still leaning towards seeing a retest this high. Shorter term, we've got a little level bottom, which is then broken down with a target in the 67.20 to 35 area. No sign of that making target at the moment, testing the weekly pivot as resistance. Lumber, this is basically rejected back up into the high after this double top breakdown. This could be a larger double top forming. ZW, still wondering about more downside, just between the weekly pivot and monthly pivot at the moment. Corn, we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with a target in the 409 area, and it's still thinking about whether or not it's going to make that target. On soy, we had a head and shoulders here, and that failed. That usually would deliver a retest, back test of this high here at 1043 3/4. ZL, we've got a rising megaphone here, and I'm leaning towards seeing a move down to this trend line here, which I've got in about the 50, well, in about the area for the monthly pivot, which is at 53.70. Live cattle, no particular sign of this turning at the moment. No current divergence, and lean hogs, next obvious target within the megaphone would be the megaphone resistance, which is up here in about the 92.2 area. So we shall see how that goes. All right, let's have a look at questions, of which we have none. So basically, just quickly as recap, I've still got targets on the upside that haven't been met. SPX has been creeping higher, QQQ has been creeping higher, but we've RTY and Dire and DAX particularly have been struggling. I'm still leaning towards seeing the retest of the all-time high on Dow Industrial, which hasn't been seen yet, and DAX and Nikkei. And Nikkei, I think, may well make that today. Dow, if we have a decent day, could make that today. DAX is a bit further away, but this looks like a bull flag. I'm still leaning towards that being made. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. I will catch everyone tomorrow. Everyone take care.